I'm not a happy bunny because I've just recorded, frankly, an amazing little thing for this. And my Mac was a bit warm, so it was doing a fan thing, and it didn't sound very loud outside, but it did, as you can hear now. Yeah. Oh, my lights on. Why are my lights on? It's like my Death Star light. It's cool, isn't it? So, scene three is. So, I'm recording it again. Now, this is hopefully going to be quite a short one, but scene three is where we kind of get to see a bit more of the Capulets, and we see the relationship between Lady Capulet, her daughter Juliet, and the nurse, who is basically, hopefully, you would have seen from the context research that, again, parents didn't often raise their children if they had the money not to. And we see in this scene that actually the nurse is kind of really Juliet's mother. That actually the role of a parent falls to whoever raises someone. Whether that's a sibling, whether that's your biological parents or not. That's who raises the person. And we see in this scene that actually that's something that has happened throughout the centuries. And the nurse is really kind of the actual mother figure for Juliet, not Lady Capulet. It's almost as if Lady Capulet is an outsider and someone that's not kind of in on the joke almost, not the joke, but you know what I mean. Now, we see kind of a bit of evidence of this straight away at the beginning of Act 1, Scene 3, where Lady Capulet says, this is the matter. So she sits Juliet down and says, Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. We are mother and daughter. We need to talk in secret. And then she realises pretty quickly that actually I don't really know anything about my daughter, and I didn't raise her. I don't know I know this person, who she is, but I don't know the ins and outs. And also, actually, yeah, you should probably know because you're going to kind of be there, not me. Yeah. So she says, we must talk in secret, and then she quickly realises, nurse, come back again. I've remembered that I was here, and blah blah blah. And kind of um, goes into the little conversation that then happens. Now, Lady Capulet has done a thing where she has just referenced that you know our daughter so well. You know her exact age, I bet. And the nurse then is starting to want to do the stereotypical thing that often parents do, and we'll get to that in a second. She says, Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour. It's similar to the phrase of, I know this town like the back of my hand. Not that anyone really knows the back of their hand very well. I know I've got a mole, and I often get a little black hair. That's about it. But the idea that to the hour, I know how many hours old you are, let alone years or months. Now, the nurse at this point, after being told how far away it is until Juliet's birthday and kind of her next stage, so we find out she's 13. The nurse does this thing where, and I've no doubt you've all experienced it. You are sat at the dinner table and someone just happens to mention the word window, or the word belt, or the word car, and that sends, whether it's your nan, your granddad, your mother, your sister, whoever it is, sends them off into some huge story that is so irrelevant, and you don't want to hear it, and you're sat there going, no, please, okay, I get it, all right, okay, and you keep, okay, all right, yes, I've heard this a million times, and the nurse goes into one of these. At the beginning of it, she talks about, odd or even of all days in the year, she's going to be 14, and Susan and we find out that the nurse has had a daughter previously, who, with this line, well, Susan is with God, that euphemistic line there, we find out that she didn't survive, she's dead. And again, from last lesson, you should know that's something that's quite common in this time, that people would almost expect their children maybe not to survive. That because nurse has lost her child, we can maybe see that's why she has such kind of feelings and love and devotion and yearning to be with Juliet in her raising as a child. Now, after this is when she starts to go off on one. And I'm going to start playing it now.
Even or odd, of all the days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well,
now, I've no doubt that by now, even though I've only paused for a little bit, she's now already onto kind of the rant of about Juliet falling over and hitting her head, and how funny it was, and how awful it was, and how she was so upset, and then she looked up and said "I," and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and I've just given that little explanation, and I've no doubt the nurse is still going now.
Of all the days of the year, upon that day.
Yep, still going. Okay, right. Even though I'm recording this bit before I record the other bit. So I'm actually going to record this bit after. I have no doubt she's still going. Yeah. Now, this all happens, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going.
Did taste the worms on the nipple of my dud, and it felt bitter. Pretty fool to see it tetchy, and fall out with the dud. Shake, quoth the dove house. 'Twas no need, I trow, to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years. For then she could stand high alone. Nay, by the rood, she could have run and waddled all about, for even the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast small wit, wilt thou not, Jule? And by my holiday, the pretty wretch left crying and said, Aye, to see how jest shall come about, I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years. I should never forget it. Wilt thou not, Jule? Quoth he.
Now, okay, so we've seen this really close relationship between Juliet and the nurse, kind of proven through that little story there that it's often kind of the mother figures and the parent figures that we see in life that have those kind of stories to tell. Now, Lady Capulet finally gets to the point that she wants to talk about. She says, "Oh, marry is the very theme that I come to talk of. What? How stands your disposition to be married?" And Juliet kind of has a response that is open to interpretation, I think, but for me, it's always meant that she doesn't really want to get married. She's not thought. She hasn't dreamt about a Prince Charming her entire life. Some people would disagree with me and think that is not actually what she's saying, but that's just what I've said. If you have a different interpretation of this line, then feel free to kind of disagree with me. But the line is, "It is an honour that I dream not of." She's not dreaming of it. She doesn't go to bed every night thinking about it. She doesn't desire this as a life choice, which then makes an interesting link later on, where obviously it's called Romeo and Juliet, so we get the idea that they get together in the next few scenes. But that kind of quick change of mind, I think, is always a very interesting discussion to have a discussion about. Now, then, later on, they start talking about Paris, who is a dashing young man. Now, we've already met Paris. We've talked about him a little bit on these videos. And Lady Capulet at one point says, "The valiant Paris seeks you for his love." Now, we know that Lord Capulet has really thought about this. He's really kind of been careful and meticulous about his decision to choose Paris. He's got the money. He's got the status. And actually, he's also, from what they're about to say, a pretty good-looking guy as well. Not every kind of rich family's daughter would have that luxury of having someone who is kind of ticks all the boxes as well as being attractive. So they really feel like they've hit the jackpot here with Paris. So the nurse replies, "A man, young lady, such a man." She's he's a dashing man. She's getting all as all the world, why he's a man of wax, as in he's so beautiful he's almost not even real. He's been sculpted. I don't know what that was. So then Lady Capulet kind of joins in and says, "For own a summer hath not such a flower." Now there's an interesting kind of semantic field of nature here, because when Romeo and Juliet meet in Act 1, Scene 5, we're going to see that there's a lot of natural imagery used and also referenced in terms of what beauty is. Obviously, nature. In this time, people believe, firmly that everything was created perfectly by God, and that anything created by God was incredible. And Lady Capulet's saying, even the flowers in Verona aren't as beautiful as him. You'd have to go elsewhere to an amazing, luxurious place. And there's an interesting kind of comparison there to make between Romeo and Juliet and how they both use or are kind of used in terms of natural imagery, where God is placed in that, which is again an interesting little thing that we're going to look at. 2. Your tasks for this one are just thinking about the relationship between those three. What kind of triangle is that in terms of the relationship between Nurse, Juliet, and Lady Capulet? Okay, who's closest to who? It's going to be a Venn diagram in your books, but if you do struggle with that, feel free to just do a little spidergram in your books. Any questions? Let me know. Bye.